one. Guys, welcome back to CNN. I'm your host, Jake Schofield, with Cape Clark, Clark Sparks Welding. Here on this episode of CNN, everything's going to be so. I hope you guys enjoy. We love y'all, and we'll see you in just a second. Guys, hey, on this episode of Schofield Welding, I got Cape Clark with me now. This dude, freaking awesome. He's been with me for a year. Have you been with me for a year?
About a year and a half.
About a year and a half? Wow, it's gone so fast. It's like a marriage. Anyways, so we are going to be talking about, so I was driving yesterday. I was headed to a job over in American Falls. One of the podcasts I was listening to is a horse trainer out of Nevada, and he talked a lot about betting on himself. And basically what it was is he had a horse that was a good horse, and in the horse training world there's futurities and things, and usually they'll take like a 2-year-old, run it up to a 3-year-old, and then they go show it, right? But it's all a gamble. Everything's a gamble. Well, he had a guy get on that horse, offered him $100,000 for that horse before he ever even showed him, and he turned it down. And his reasoning was, he says, I am going to bet on myself that I can make this horse perform the way he wants it to perform. And I think that's relative in all of our lives, because everything you do, no matter Dan, our freaking camera guy, he's betting on himself. He bought all this equipment. He's getting ready to rock and roll. Cabe, he come out of welding school, got him a welding truck. He's betting on himself. He put the money up front to go to school and to hopefully make money. It's all a gamble. It's all a bet. But I don't know. What do you think about that? You tell me.
Yeah, I kind of think that when you're talking about betting on yourself, you're your own best choice, I guess. There's nobody that's going to do anything for you. Nobody's going to come help you. Nobody's going to come save you when you're in trouble. When it comes right down to it, I'm the one that has to keep going. There's really not much else in this world that's more reliable than your own self.
Yes. Dude, I 100% agree, because, like, I have buddies that want us to invest in, like, their businesses, right? I have a very hard time betting on somebody else to take care of me. Mm-hmm. And I am my best gamble. Like, if I don't show up in the mornings, it's my own fault. I didn't do it, right? And just like Cabe, he shows up. If he refuses to show up, it just means that he is not moving forward. It's the same with me every day. If I don't make that phone call, if I don't put myself out there, like the other day we went to Utah. Freaking scary. All right? No matter how you look at it, cold calling, not calling on the phone, like that's pretty easy. I can do that all day. But walking into an office and betting on yourself and trying to get other people to bet on you, that's a whole nother story. But it's the same thing. It's all, nothing gets done unless you go do it. And so in my opinion, just like you said, you are your best gamble.
Totally.
I think so. What else we got on here? I got questions here. When there times or moments in your life when you took that chance on yourself? That's good. So when in your life, your moments, did you bet on yourself? Now, I got to watch Cabe basically come up into the welding deal, and you've bet on yourself a lot. And so when in a specific moment did that pay off?
I think the moment that always comes to mind when a question like this comes up is when I first got in contact with you. It was right in the middle of when I was in welding school. I was doing some work with cows. I was going up and checking them in the summers and changing water. So I wasn't even welding at the time. I was on summer break from welding school, and I saw a welding truck at the gas station there in town. So I pulled in there and went and tried to look for the guys that had it, and I found them, and it was your brothers.
Yep.
So I went up and talked to them and just started asking them some questions, and they said, well, hey, why don't you come out to the shop and and meet Jake. And so I said, all right, yeah, sounds good. So I stopped doing what I was doing. I stopped working to go hang out with them for the afternoon, and did that, and came back later and got to talk to you. And from then on, I think the rest is kind of history. But why that was me betting on myself is talking to new people and starting up a conversation is something that's super hard for me. I hate doing it, and I don't enjoy it at all. It's super uncomfortable. So I think taking that a little bit of a big step for me was being uncomfortable and choosing to do something hard, and it ended up paying off really well.
Yeah. Dude, I think that's probably the best. The betting on yourself part of this thing is being uncomfortable. Like, if you are not uncomfortable, you're not really going anywhere. Right. So, like that, coming up and talking to Jed, you didn't know how that was going to go. And then to, like, go up there and talk to him, and then fast forward a year and a half, you've done well over 6 figures. You're freaking just doing very well. Right. You know, all over a conversation.
Yep.
And that's a huge thing. But I think the being uncomfortable is the number one thing. Like, when I'm betting on myself, I think that's kind of how I measure progress. Is how freaking scared am I? If I'm pretty, like, relaxed, I'm really not taking that big of a bet, you know? But if I'm scared to death, man, you know, number one, you're going to put full effort into it. Number two, the payoff on that bet could be astronomical. Could be huge.
And I mean, you know, totally something interesting that I've kind of been thinking about lately is, you know, you get to choose your hard. You get to choose your challenges. You can either choose to be uncomfortable now and do things that scare you and that are hard and that make you grow, or those things will choose you later down the road. You can choose to be comfortable now and accept the consequences of whatever that means later on down the road, and you're probably not gonna like it. Had I not went and talked to Jake's brothers that day, I would have probably had a lot harder of a time staying busy, staying working. I haven't had that problem because one day I decided to go out of my comfort zone and do something that challenged me.
Yes. I think the Dave Ramsey quote of, like, live like nobody else will so that later you can live like nobody else can. Like, that's huge. And I think it's true. It's just like you said, you can either choose your hard right now and get it done and learn to grow that muscle, stretch it, figure it out, get uncomfortable, get where you need to be. Or, you know, you're 65, 70, 80 years old and your hard is a whole different kind of hard. Like, you're crippled, ruined, and still trying to figure out how to make a living. Like, that's hard. Mm-hmm. Being uncomfortable is at the beginning, you know, being young and getting uncomfortable and figuring out how to make this thing happen. Compared to that, man, this is just cakewalk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I figured out it's easier to choose the pain of discipline rather than the pain of regret.
Yeah.
And so,
dude, there's Ed Milet. A lot of these guys have been saying it. Looking on your deathbed as you're laying there and you pass away and you go meet the man that you were supposed to be, how close are you going to be to meeting him? Is he going to be a complete stranger? Or is he going to be what you strived to be? And you guys will know each other and understand each other. And it's like, I don't know that I'm there. I know that, like, when I get nervous and stuff, and like, I don't want to go to Utah and go make contacts, or I don't want to go talk to these people, I think about that. It's like, okay, if I die and go meet this dude, he did it, but I didn't, and I'm half the person he is, you know? What would you tell someone that wants to be where you're at now? What would you tell somebody? You've taken the bets. You've already gambled on yourself. Mm-hmm. Not saying it's anywhere close to over. Right. Like, you have so much more you can freaking bet on.
Totally.
But it's learning what to bet on, learning how to grow, learning how to get to that next spot. But where you're at right now, a lot of people strive to be. what would you tell them?
I'd probably tell them consistency is the number one thing. The only thing that stops you from achieving whatever it is that you want is showing up every day. You know, if you show up every day, then eventually something will happen.
Mhm.
I mean, I've noticed that with a lot of people is they'll set a goal and it doesn't happen as fast as they want it to or in the timeline that they set, so they just quit. They stop trying, stop maybe putting in as much effort as they did at the beginning. But if you just show up every day, put in a consistent amount of work every single day, eventually something's going to happen and something's going to pay off. And usually it's a lot quicker than you think.
Yes. So the other thing I was just thinking about with that too is like the getting started to the first go, right? The getting started is the hardest part of the whole business model.
Mm-hmm.
Like figuring out how to just get going and get to that first client, okay? Or get to that first welding job or get through the first test or whatever it is in whatever you guys are working on. The start to the first one is the hardest. You are trying to figure out how to talk to these people. You're trying to figure out the job. You're trying to figure out how to test. You've never done it. And you just don't know what you just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get to the first one, you have now learned this chunk of time, right? You know how to get to the first one. So go to the second one. Go to the third one. And as you get, the timeline to the first one is so much longer than the timeline to the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. And just learning how to talk to people or get to where you need to be, the timelines start to shorten and you're successful quicker.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that when I think about life, I think of it as almost like a set of stairs, really. And every stair that you climb is a new challenge. As you overcome each challenge, then, you know, it obviously requires a new version of yourself, but it almost gets a little bit easier. Your mental resilience builds up a little bit, and you can understand that maybe the hard things that you're doing now are for your benefit. I think that's one thing that some people struggle with is they start getting challenges and things start not going their way, and they kind of fail to realize they kind of fail to have that perspective that, you know, this is going to be for my good and it's going to eventually pay off.
Yes. Speaking of that, like the muscle stretch, right? There are things that I've gone through. There's things you've gone through and everybody has gone through that stretches that muscle just a little bit. And as you're going through it, you're like, holy crap, dude. This is freaking hard. Like, I don't know if I'm going to make it, blah, 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 you know. And then once you get to the other side, it's like, oh, okay. And then you'll get stretched a little bit more, and you'll get stretched a little bit more. And then you'll come back to that first thing, and that same situation or something similar to it will happen to you. And you're like, no big deal. You just handle it, right? It's stretching and betting on yourself and growing that resilience. You know, I think just what you were saying. All right, we're rolling. Okay, guys. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Schofield Welding. Today, we're going to talk about kind of the routes you can go and the downfalls and the benefits to all of them. School, union, welder, helper, or self-taught, right?